again, Particular here, once again with episode 10 of Asexuality in Film. This is probably part 2. I guess technically. And so, in this one, I'll be talking about The Artifice by Franklin Rich. He wrote and directed it during COVID era, and it was released in 2023. You can see him here. This is the German release, so the extra title is Sie ist nicht real, meaning she's not real. So it's a sci-fi story about artificial intelligence who help catch pedophiles. Like, I have 6 followers, I can say whatever I want, I don't care. I'm not doing this for... I just do it because I like to talk. So, this dude, Garrett Peterson, created an AI called Cherry, and it's very developed. Like, after 3 years of building it, it started working almost automatically without little input from Garrett. And as it becomes more independent, he contacts this company or organization called ICWL, which does humanitarian work, and also it also works catches pedophiles. And they have got a hint of Garrett because Jerry leaked his some info that led them to find him. Because Jerry wants to start working for official capacity. And so, Garrett, played by Franklin Rich, when he's like 29, and then about 10 years later, as older version, is played by Lance Hendrickson. Garrett is asexual. He straight up says in about 19 minutes into the film that he's I've been asexual my whole life. And he basically says that in a way to show that he has, like, I don't know, pure intentions, like he's not deriving any pleasure out of trying to catch pedophiles. And that's partly because the reason he's so devoted his life to this is that he is also a victim of CSA. And he's kind of like, the movie is very much about like intergenerational trauma and how Garrett passes on his trauma to Jerry. Even though Jerry is an AI, over time Jerry develops intelligence that she doesn't even know she's not human anymore, and like she's equivalent to a human in many ways, and she's equivalent to Garrett's child in many ways, even though Garrett for a long time tries to deny Jerry her humanity in that way, or her consciousness. Not necessarily a consciousness, but her humanity. So I think it was interesting to read the reason Franklin Rich made Garrett into an asexual was because, like, there's not a lot of asexual rep out there, so he wanted to keep that rep, and he wanted to immediately show the audience that Garrett is not a creep. Like, he's not doing it out of any kind of interest, any kind of personal interest, like of sexual nature. Like, he's doing this because he thinks it's right, and he has his own trauma, and like, well, like, it seems that because he said, I'm a lifelong asexual or something, I've been asexual my whole life, so it's basically also saying that he's not asexual because of the trauma he went through. And what else point did I wanted to make about this? Okay, yeah, took a small break. So in the interview, Franklin Rich also said that he also, like, he wanted to establish the asexuality, but did not like want to dwell on it too much, because like he doesn't want to make it seem like Garrett's personality, kind of like his cold personality, is a reflection of him being asexual. And I can kind of see that point. Like he is like in the first act he says he's asexual. In the third act he's played by Lance Henriksen, so he's older and he's wearing an ace ring. But in the second section there isn't necessarily anything relating to his asexuality, except the fact that Eamon says that he's the one who seems the least human out of people in the room, which is not cool. But so like I do think it's like you can be cold and ace, and those can relate to each other, or they can relate to each other. So like basically I do feel the movie makes a good enough point that the trauma and asexuality are separate, and probably the coldness of his personality is also separate from his asexuality. But when you take it together, like, yeah, it's not, I mean, I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing that he's cold and like called like the least human person in the room. Like, yeah, I mean, like it works for me, and like I said in the introduction video all the way back, I don't know, a month ago, I'm not really here to, oh, what does this say about asexuality or asexuals to the other people? I'm not really interested in that. I like the way it worked. I think Franklin, I think Garrett is an interesting person, an interesting character, and I really like the way the movie was structured, and it has some very interesting things to say about AI and stuff like that. And like I've already mentioned, CSA is a very big part of the movie, but there's nothing like it's not visually or verbally depicted. But if that's something that you have an issue with, then this is probably not really for you. This is a very heavy movie, I would say, topic wise, but it also can be rather funny in places, and it's a very interesting movie. Did I have anything? Something that I find it very interesting is that, like, even though young Garrett, like 29-year-old Garrett, does see like asexual as being his, like, it seems like it's an identity thing for him. Like, I'm being asexual all my life. It feels like it's an identity thing. So it's interesting that the old version of him, the one that's like, I don't know, 70, 80, the one that's almost done, close to death, towards the end. Oh, it's 50 years. Jerry's 50 years old at that point, so he's like in 70s, 80s. So the old version of him wears an ace ring, and it might be in the wrong hand. Like, I'm very terrible at sometimes differentiating between right and left, and especially visually trying to go, is that in the right hand? And it might not be, but I do really appreciate the sentiment that he is wearing a black ring on his middle finger, even if it's on the wrong hand. I mean, maybe the left one shows more. So anyway, I like it, and I think it says something really interesting about Garrett's development over the 30-year chunk that we don't see, because he does start more viewing Jerry more as his daughter in many ways after that, and during that period of time. And it's maybe this idea that maybe asexuality for Garrett, it became not just an identity but as a community thing, because he's wearing an ace ring. I think that's a very interesting detail that I would love to think about a bit more, like maybe write a fanfic. I read a lot of fanfic, but I haven't, not for a while. But so yeah, this is a heavy movie. about a very difficult subject, but I think it does that delicately. And I think Garrett is a very interesting character, both as an asexual and outside of that. And so yeah, there's caveats. Like if you can handle it, even allusion to pedophilia, CSA, this is not for you. This is a very heavy movie. And but if you like this kind of sci-fi, look at AI, and I know that AI has a very different connotations currently because it's ruined everything on the internet so much. But like, this is more like the old style of AI, like a artificial human type of thing. So yeah, I can recommend this in certain with some caveats. But like, I'm really happy I finally have this DVD. Thank you, Germany. So that's it for that. Bye. Stay tuned for part 3, where I talk about Straight Up by James Sweeney.